Well, welcome back for another segmented bowl assembly. This time I'm starting with a ring. It's made of 8 segments. They're all the same size, but they're set up as 2 types. One segment uses bubinga with oak, and the other segment uses just oak, but with a thin veneer in between each layer. And I think that's going to be an interesting little bowl to make. I've already sanded what will be the bottom of this ring, and this will accept the base that I'm going to put on it, which I'll then put on my faceplate with the waste block. I've decided though that the base is going to be segmented, and it's going to be done in a little different manner. So I've already built that up here. This is made of Brazilian cherry, and it's an 8 segment base. Obviously it looks like I made a mistake, but I didn't. That's all intentional. Each of these pie-shaped pieces has been assembled as I did before, 2 and 2, and then I made the half. But then when I put the halves together, as you can see, I've offset where the peaks come, so there's about an inch between where the peaks are. And I thought that that's going to be a pretty interesting base when I put the segmented bowl on there. We'll see how it comes out later, but I think it's going to be pretty impressive. What I'm going to do next is find the center point with my compass and draw my circle so that I can get the maximum diameter out of this piece. And then I'll put this onto the faceplate. I'll be using the same method for centering as I did on a previous bowl with that rotating stage, but now with this bowl, for both the base and for this ring, crucial centering is going to be more important. And I'll show you how that centering method with the rotating table really comes into play. So let's go to the bandsaw next, and we'll cut this ring out. Hello, I got the base ready to be cut. What I've done is I've taken this to the belt sander and just sanded the bottom off well enough so that I know it'll rest securely and flat on here without any tipping. I don't have to get this really cleaned up because this is going to get glued to the waste block on my faceplate. So as long as it's fairly flat, I'm ready to go. On this, which will be the part that you see on the bottom of the bowl, I've drawn my circle, and that was the center for that circle is found here. I have a piece of glue there, and that was found simply by measuring the distance between these 2 peaks. And I found my circle, I found my center and then drew the circle from there. So now we're ready to cut it, and put my headphones on, or ear protection rather, and we'll cut that on the bandsaw. The waste pieces are kind of unusual looking, but now this is starting to look a lot more like what will become part of a bowl. Certainly is round. So now we're going to put this onto the waste block of the faceplate, and that's where the centering will start taking place. Well, now I've got everything that I need for the next step. I've got my faceplate with the surface turned flat again. This was previously used, but it doesn't matter as long as this is flat, ready to accept the next piece. Also on this faceplate, it's got a ring that is machined in. It runs true, and I've tried to highlight it a little bit here. I've actually put another Sharpie mark on there just to be certain, but we'll use these as reference for centering this on this rotating table, which I've shown before, that I make out of a Lazy Susan bearing with a little stand to give it enough depth and the hole large enough to accept the tail of my faceplate. That will be put on the faceplate and then centered, which I will show you next. And once that's done, then I'll be ready to take this, our bowl bottom, and glue it directly onto the waste block of my faceplate. So let's set up and do that, and I'll show you how that's done so we can put this center point right on the rotating center of the lathe. Well, now we're ready to do the next step, centering. So the first step is to get this located so that we know that the faceplate is running true and on center. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm using that little reference pointer here to make sure that my faceplate is running true. It's a little off. Slide it this way. And when you do this, after a while you get pretty proficient at it. So that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit this way. And some of the adjustments are really small, but they're important. So now we're set with that. The next step is we have to dry fit this so we know we're going to get the center on center, and the center is right here. So what we'll do, now it doesn't matter that I know where the pointer is on center. I know the pointer is stationary. So if I can position this such that the pointer provides a stationary spot in space, when the center point that I've got on my piece stays stationary, I'll know that it's on center. And you can clearly see I'm way off. So we'll start moving this and getting it closer and closer. And then as I start getting that pointer, that center point that I've marked stationary, then I can move my pointer to where that stays stationary right over top of it. And admittedly it takes a little time to get this right, and you move it about half the distance of what you see it moving away from center all the time until you get it right where you want it. Now that's how that works. I will next simply put the glue on it and repeat this process until that center point stays stationary. And when I get that done, we'll go to the next step. Now I've got the glue on, but I've realized that it's easier to center to a circle than it is to a point. So what I've done is I put my compass in that point again and drew a slightly smaller circle than the OD, and that gives me a full circumference circle to reference now. So you can see now it's a lot easier to visualize this. So I will keep moving this, and the glue is still fluid enough to make this fairly simple to move around until that circle that I've drawn is stationary as I rotate it. That's getting very close now. Once I get this locked down and to where the glue will hold it pretty well, then I'll put a weight on it and just let it set. And I probably won't make the next step until tomorrow, because I want this glue to be very well set, because the next step involves turning the surface flat, and I want that piece of wood really secured to the faceplate. So now it's running true, as you can see, and that's perfect. It's not very easy to move by hand right now. It's starting to take a set, and once I'm pretty confident that it's going to stay in place, then I'll put a weight on it, and that's all there is to it. You can see now that I have the segmented base of the bowl finished glued onto the waste block, which is on the faceplate, and it's on the lathe. I wanted to show you how that circle that we drew earlier, this right here, is running nice and true on the lathe. If you can see that, I hope it comes out. But right now, the piece is ready for the next step, which is to finish this face off, and in particular pay attention to getting it very flat and about this much of the outside area, so that I can glue on the ring, which is the body of the bowl, and then from there we'll move on to putting the top ring on. When I put that ring on, I'll probably put a piece of veneer in between this base and the outside ring of the bowl, and I will also show you how the centering technique comes particularly in play with that ring, because it is segmented, and we'll have to get that running dead on center too. So that's the next step. Let me go and I'll finish this off and show you how that comes out.